All right, welcome everyone to New Geometry. This is George Leoniak, and today we have another special guest, Nancy Beneroff. She was another apprenticeship part of my program this year, and it was just a great thrill to have her part of the program. She's been doing sacred geometry for a long, long time. So we're doing another interview, just like I did with Marianne Grace. And so Nancy, how are you doing today? I just wanted to share just a little bit about your interest in sacred geometry and anything else you want to kind of get things started for us here.
Okay, well, thank you for inviting me on. It's really definitely exciting and an honor to be here. And yeah, I came into sacred geometry very naturally by drawing geometric drawings. Just it's what I always have liked to draw. And so I drew it long before I knew what I was drawing. And as I've developed with it and learned and understand more what I'm doing, like my goal now is to find ways to use it in work that would be helpful or healing for people. That's where I want to go with it from here.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you've been sending me some of your early work, like even before you knew you were doing sacred geometry, and I've been sending you back these pictures saying, look, he's drawing the 5 relationships like in this square diagram or the golden hexagon. I've just been amazed of how intuitively you kind of just were adding that to your drawings as you were going. But in terms of some of the work that you do with this is you've been teaching kids for a long time. You know, we'll get into the healing stuff as well, but I definitely wanted to have a bit for you to say about how you've been sharing sacred geometry and mathematics with kids for many years now.
Okay. Yep, I teach a program in my town, and I used to teach in neighboring towns too, and hopefully will again. But it's called Math Through Art, and so I follow along what teachers ask. If they ask me to support a certain unit or a certain topic that they're trying to teach, I will develop art projects that make that topic visual and spatial for kids rather than just abstract numbers. So it makes it very concrete, and kids really love that. It's easier for them to grasp it. And then also they're able to engage their creativity. And that really relates to the healing piece because it brings them into their center, and it makes them comfortable and in a place where they're really receptive to learning and able to learn better. So all of those things go into it, but I have been doing that for probably 10 years total, but 8 years officially as a program in the elementary school where I work, Essex Elementary. And so it's become pretty honed, especially for 2nd grade. And I absolutely love it. It's really rewarding to work with the kids, and I love how beautiful the artwork turns out because I give them a really rigid structure and really mathematically oriented directions, and then they follow that and it comes through, but layer on top of it their like freedom and creativity and artistic flair, and it's beautiful.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. It must be so great to see that creativity of the kids. They have such probably an affinity towards the geometric shapes, and I guess applying the math in the way you're doing it sort of make a lot of sense for them. And you notice, I remember you sent the stars that all the kids did. And what you just told me that the kids, after you did that stars, they, let's share the screen. Let's just take a look at a few images of yours so people could see some of your work. Nancy sent me some photographs or pictures of her artwork throughout the years. And they challenged you because you did a big star thing. They said, can you do 100-point star, right? Is this what this one that you came up with?
Yeah, we do pretty much up to 20 points in 2nd grade. So, you know, 2nd graders, they go all big and all in. And so they're like, what's the most you've ever done? And I was like, I don't know, I think I've probably done like 36 points or something. And then they're like, could you do 100?
Yeah.
And I said, of course I'll try. And that's how it came out. And I love it because of how imperfect it is. And that's what I'm always trying to highlight for them, that the imperfections in their artwork are what make it unique and beautiful. And
Yeah, I
think,
love the way when you get to the center, how the you know, the overlapping lines create that pattern. It's amazing how detailed you got into those little triangular shapes, the little diamond shapes way in the center there. You
well, I
know,
mean, I only did it by going straight across how we did our star in the apprenticeship. I didn't really do anything in the middle. I just made lines that went straight across the shape over and over again. So that forms itself, you know.
yeah, we did the 60-point star in the apprenticeship, and that was all laid out with those 5 circles that just magically present it, you know, really pretty precise. You know, it was amazing when, you know, before Nancy came to the apprenticeship or signed up for it, you know, she was asking me some questions and she sent me this first picture. And this is my first time, you know, ever teaching sacred geometry really at all, and even or online. And she said, "Oh, I'm interested in your apprenticeship. Here's some of the work I do." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I wrote back and I said, "Are you sure you still want to take the apprenticeship? It's going to be pretty relatively basic." But yeah, this was just beautiful. What a stunning image. What do you use to do? You mentioned, was it Zentangles that kind of create these little inner patterns? People might be interested in knowing about that. You want to share a little bit on that? How you add this flavor to it?
Yeah, that I am a total beginner at, but I take some Zentangle. I've taken some Zentangle classes with my friend. Her name's Paula Palermo, and she does them online. She does Tuesday Tangles pretty much every Tuesday night. And it's very fun and relaxing. And she just, you know, really gives clear instruction and teaches you these different patterns. And so I've got a little stack of cards from my Tuesday Tangles with her, and I sometimes will flip through the cards and use them in my sacred geometry drawings. We actually did a few classes together online. We called them Sacred Tangle. And I would teach the outline of the shape, and then she would teach how to tangle it in.
Oh, geez, that's fantastic. I mean, it adds so much character to the spiral. You know, I've done spirals before, and I think when you sent this to me, you said it was kind of similar to something you saw on my banner on Facebook or something like that, this kind of same spiral motif. But I just was kind of coloring in the big spirals. But then when I saw all this detail, I was like, wow, you know, the braided ropes and everything's beautiful. Let's just take a look at a few other pieces that Nancy's done. Here's another one that I just found to be super detailed with all the flower of life at different scales throughout that. Is there anything that you wanted to say about this one here?
That was pretty much the idea, was the flower of life at the different scales. I tried to kind of follow, you know, what I saw as like the density of the matter. And so I made the mountains the biggest, and then it kind of went to the water, and then the clouds, and then the air. And it was kind of just a flower of life, celebration.
Oh, it's so cool how you wove all the different elements in there, you know, to the scenery and the landscape there. And I just had a curiosity. I mean, imagine a viewer might be wondering, is like, everybody has their own artistic process in regards to this, but how long would something like this take you to make? You know, if you added it up in hours or days or weeks, you know, how long are you working on something like this?
I would say something like that would take me probably 8 hours total, and I certainly wouldn't do it in one sitting.
Mm-hmm.
As a guess, hard to say, but yeah, something like that. I would, you know, they always take a lot of drawing and a lot of erasing.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's amazing how you get all the little erase lines out of there to make it, you know, so sharp looking. Yeah, really phenomenal. We'll just go through a few more here. And this one, I think you might have mentioned to me a little bit about some of the meaning of this one. Did you want to share on this one?
Sure, this one was part of a group of 3 that I made that I was encouraged to try to draw my family and my two forms of work, which are teaching the math through art and also being a massage therapist, in sacred geometry, to draw them in sort of their ideal form, as if they were flowing harmoniously. And so this is kind of what I came up with for my math through art teaching, and it's representing a circle which we always sit in. And I always tell the kids, I always ask them, why do you think I love the circle so much? And I let them answer a lot of answers, because it's a shape, because it's geometry, because you love circles. And I'm like, always like, yeah. And then I say, the real reason or another reason, and the most important reason I love the circle is because everybody can see everybody. And then, I make sure we're in that kind of a circle where everybody can see everybody. And then in this one, I put the platonic solids in the middle, although they need a little work that I learned from you. And then like a sort of representing of like a heart. I mean, that's not sort of a heart. I see the middle thing as representing the heart in the middle. And so that's, I tried to show the kids all looking with their different selves. And
yeah. Oh, that's still cool. I mean, that center structure too, it looks like the 64 tetrahedron grid there that kind of envelopes out into kind of some flower petals around the side there. Yeah, really, really cool. And yeah, the icosahedron there is the old school icosahedron with the triangle in the middle there. But when we do these types of works, it really doesn't have to be that precise. Like I've been sharing in many of my other videos. I mean, it says so much here. It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
And some of these are just stunning with all these little triangular shapes. I mean, I'm just amazed at the level of detail. First, your circles have to be just right on to even get those little triangles. It's like almost as good as I could do on my iPad in some regards here. It's really super detailed. What's going on?
That one I made. I made this one for a friend who spent a long time in the military. And I just wanted to send him something that would be soothing and full of love. And in the middle was something that I learned from Jane 108. And I think it's the nines, actually, the connection of the nines maybe on a multiplication table or something. And it, to me though, looked like angels. That's why I put it in there for him.
Yeah, it's a really intricate pattern woven in the middle. It reminds me of a shape that I did a while ago called the pyrahedron shape, which was octahedrons with the pyramid in it. It had the same shape. I'm going to measure this out later and see if that might be it. I'm actually wondering if some of your phi ratio edges here. But yeah, really, really neat. And when you first got together with the apprenticeship, you just said, I've been making sacred geometry for years and I just give it away. You make so many images, you just send them off. And that's so uplifting and so nice that you're just sharing and openly giving some of your amazing constructions away to your loved ones and family and friends. This was a funny one because you were telling me a little bit of a story about the working with the rocks with the patio on this one. Was this one of those designs you were saying?
That is one of them. Yep, I was building a patio and trying to get the rocks to fit like a puzzle. And they were like huge and very heavy. So at night I would go inside and I would make like drawings of rocks and have the fun of getting the rocks to go wherever I wanted them to go with great ease. And this is 2 poems kind of combined into one, or pieces of poems. And Love is the Bridge Between You and Everything is from a Rumi poem. And then on the rocks, on the 2 rocks that are written on, it says, fear is the cheapest room in the house. I would like to see you living in better conditions. and then Your Heart and My Heart Are Very Old Friends, and that's from a Hafiz poem.
Mm.
So I also kind of like this one because I pictured it as Hafiz graffitiing Rumi's rock wall.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you're working with, those kind of more organic shapes with this, because so much of sacred geometry, like the one you presented before here, can be a lot of straight lines and everything lines up and, you know, very geometric in its orientation, but you laid that all out and made it really organic, like this one over here, how it's done with the rocks, you know, it's really, really neat to see. And I love the way you've woven on all the meaning into this one, you know, putting in the words, love is the bridge between you and everything. It's fantastic. So, you know, after I see all this, it's like, what did the sacred geometry apprenticeship with me, like, what did that add to your repertoire? You know, I mean, I checked out some of your images on Facebook when you first signed up. I was like, I don't know, this is going to be a little bit much. So just share a little bit. We have a few slides here, but, you know, just please let me know what the sacred geometry apprenticeship with me, New Geometry, what did that do for someone like you who's really producing such beautiful artwork?
Well, thank you. It did so much. It honestly did so much for me, and I am so grateful. So your whole new KNEW approach to putting the 5 circles on the template on top of which you draw everything, it was brand new to me, never heard of doing that, and it is corrective in a lot of ways that I see. So it corrected the icosahedron and dodecahedron. It allows you to draw all the shapes from a variety of views, which felt very important to me. And it makes the circles as the template more integral and more necessary. Because like I had gotten to the point where I would draw Metatron's cube without the circles. I would just make one and divide it by 6, and then you can follow your lines rather than even needing any circles. And so that and the 5 ratio circles open up so much beyond the platonic solids, so many shapes. So there was that. So before I started the apprenticeship, I was actually kind of in a lull with drawing, and I hadn't done a drawing in a while. And so it reignited and inspired me enormously, like more than I could have ever even hoped for. And I haven't stopped. Like I've been on a tear, drawing a ton, and it's really feels so good. And the actual participating in the sessions was so enjoyable. I looked forward to it every week. You know, the instruction was great and clear, and the people in the group were lovely and pleasure to be with. And so I just loved the doing of it. I loved the week in between to like practice and integrate what we learned. I don't feel like I accomplished that yet. Like I feel like I could go through every one again. Even looking at the first drawing, I was like, oh, we squared the circle. I don't really remember how we did that. And it was so simple. I remember being amazed at how simple it was, but I still don't even remember how to do it your way. So I'm going to review that. But so all of that. And then I guess the maybe biggest thing was putting it compared to how life is right now. Like life is so hard and nothing is working well, it feels like, in the outside world. And so to be able to come in and draw on these 5 ratio circles where everything works so well was like the polar opposite. Like you gave us this thing that worked so gracefully and so elegantly and so beautifully and gave so much in this time, whereas like being out in the world feels like the exact opposite of that. So it's just like this beautiful gift.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was amazing to watch you work with all that. And you really were, you know, I guess, as you said, we were on a tear. I mean, at one point you emailed me like, I'm staying up a lot later than I have, and it's a long, long time working on these drawings, you know. You had to slow down and kind of rein it back in for a little bit and take a few day break to kind of recharge because you produce maybe 4 or 5 drawings a week, you know, of different views and different experimenting with things and hand drawing some even real quick to get big ideas. It was just amazing to see how that just kind of ignited for you.
Yeah, that was the Penteract week, and that was definitely like a tipping point, I think.
Yeah, the 5D Penteract when we did that 5D structure. Yeah. Yeah. And some of these, because this all coincided with a lot of the videos that I've been doing. So you'll see some of the themes of that were happening in the apprenticeship, were actually happening in videos that I've done over the past couple months. Yeah. So it's just beautiful to hear, how that all, after seeing your first drawing, that yes, there was something in there for you for sure. And you've really, even after the apprenticeship ended, it was like I didn't share much with Star Polyhedra with you at all. But then afterwards, just by watching my videos, like once you knew how that circle template, the golden circles, the 5 circle template kind of worked, I mean, it has its own intelligence, really, that you just start to, once you know the pattern, you're like, oh, this line goes to that, that line goes to that. And you would look at it just as a pattern by itself and be like, I don't know where the connecting the dots are, but they're really all in there. And I guess this kind of relates a little bit to what you're saying is with the chaos that's going on. I mean, you look at the 5 circle pattern, you're like, it is a little bit more chaotic. There's a lot more circles in it than the regular seed of life. But in there, there's this order, I guess, let's just say, of how it's all kind of given within those crisscross of lines and crisscross of the circles. And maybe you could speak to this a little bit, because it's something that, like, in the first apprenticeship or maybe the second apprenticeship, you were just saying how important the circles were. And we were talking about the circles in the relationship to the lines and some of the differences in how this sacred geometry we were working with kind of led you to that contemplation in regards to the circle. Is that,
Yeah,
you have anything to say on that?
If you would, we could look at the first drawing I made, the pyramid one. Yeah. That was where it really struck me.
Oops, hold on, not this one. That's the video. Let's go to the presentation. Here we go. This one here. Yeah. You got it? You see it, Nancy? Is it there?
I don't see it. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, I do see it. So yeah, that one was really where it struck me, because when we learned this from you, the circles went all the way up in the top half of the page too, and gave us the information for how to both square the circle and draw the proportional Great Pyramid. And it really struck me how different the structure of the pyramid or even the square looked compared to the circles that actually informed how to do it and what went where. And in my prior studying of sacred geometry, I had learned, and it seems intuitively to feel right, that the circles represent the more feminine energies and the straight lines the masculine. And it just felt resonant with the times, the way you added more circles and used them differently. So yeah, it was just kind of, this particular drawing especially made me feel like the interesting thing about a layer of femininity or a layer of circular patterning existing underneath a lot of straight lines and edges, and the way that, yeah, that was hopefully a little bit clearer.
No, yeah, no, definitely. I think everybody can get the gist of what you're saying there. I don't think I need to add much to it, and I think that your drawing kind of definitely captures that in a way that's really is pretty stark divide between the upper and lower half. But as you're saying, if you were to just flip-flop the lower half to the upper half, you would see that all the circles there provide all the points to do the drawing. The only circle, this is actually interesting, I didn't notice, the only circle that is up above is the square circle one, the one that, or the radius, the circumference of the circle is equal to the perimeter of the square, actually only comes back into play right down here. It's kind of like that one circle didn't continue through there, but it's neat how it kind of envelopes the upper half of the, so these are just things that these drawings can lead you to your own contemplations. As I look at this, these are the types of things that it evokes in me, and anybody looking at this might have that type of feeling. But there's a connection between the two.
Yeah.
Let's take a, did you have something to add to that one anymore?
Yeah, no, I wanted to look at the next one also, because that one also, I feel like really captures something that was so profound for me about the apprenticeship, which was the correcting of the icosahedron and the dodecahedron. And so it was sort of the integrating of those feminine circles, but also the correcting of these two shapes, which are, relating to water for the icosahedron and spirit, the dodecahedron. And I loved this drawing so much because it put the spirit inside the water. And I feel like that's also like a profoundly possible thing, that that water is so key to the healing, to the potential for healing, and we need so much healing right now in our world. And so to correct the form of it and to put the spirit inside it just felt so good to me. I was like, I just want to keep drawing this one.
Yeah, definitely. And this one here, the real main correction to those two forms that I talk about in my video has a lot to do with the hexagonal version of it. The pentagon structures of this, like is shown here. The neat thing about this drawing, I'll get to in a second, these are pretty accurate. These have been drawn, with the regular pentagons. But once we do it in that seed of life, flower of life view, that's where we talked about Nancy's drawing. We joked about this just a little bit back here. These versions, that's the one where the line isn't straight. It should be, a broken line there. But the cool thing about this drawing was that the entry point into this drawing, as you can see, there's 6 circles around the outside here, was actually through the seed of life drawing that gave you the pentagon structure for the dodecahedron in the center and the icosahedron around it, which was really cool in my own discovery process that I was sharing with everyone there, was just how you can take the seed of life and turn that into a whole different perspective. Because normally that gives you the hexagon, but you could turn it into the pentagon view.
Right, which totally was so amazing to me. The first time I saw that there's this 6-fold thing, and then do like a 5 right in the middle of it, placed so perfectly and central there. Like it just is so right. It's just so beautiful and so right. And so, because for me, 5, the pentagon is like life, is the phi ratio. That's where that just is, where the phi ratio lives. And so to put that right in the middle of the seed of life, I just never saw anything like that before. And it was really, really exciting, and really felt like this is what needs to be happening in the world right now. Seems probably sounds so weird to some people, but that is how I feel.
It's real, and it's a very simple way to do it too. As I showed and evolved over the apprenticeship, it's like, and people have seen in my videos, if they've seen some previous ones, you just draw that little line, you get your inner phi circle, and you're good to go to start doing the rest of the drawing. It circles around, and then you're off and running. And it's just, it's such a joy for me to when I'm sharing these drawings with everybody each week. I'm sure it was always like, what are we going to do next? Because each week I didn't know what we were going to do. And it was always like, oh, we're doing this. And so that was a lot of fun. Let's take a look at the the Penteract week. So this one had another method that we taught, and this was one of the drawings I imagined from the sequence that you did for over that big week of drawings.
Yes, this was kind of the culminating one, because I was really challenged by the lines of it, and that's why I kept drawing differently with lines. Well, I first did a few that was only used the circles. But then once I got into the lines, it was just like, so there were so many layers and so much to work with, and I was trying to get my brain around it. And so finally, just to kind of bring it to a conclusion of or a resolution of some sort, I decided to just try to do like a kaleidoscope with all the lines and all the circles. And it felt really good to do this after all that other stuff.
Yeah, it's really neat how the pattern just pops. This one was based on the crop circle drawing that I forget which year that crop circle was, but it's one of the videos I did previously. I talk about this pattern. Yeah, so as you can see, there's such a variety. I mean, as I'm looking back, we did 8 weeks together, and I'll be doing another 8 weeks in March with the group, and we probably will repeat not all this because there's always new stuff to do, but 8 weeks, and I'm just like, this is just a small sampling of what we did here. We even switched over to the star cut diagram, which I don't know if you did the star cut before we got together in the apprenticeship, Nancy, but you really had fun with this one. You could share some in your process on this one, because it was neat to see your discoveries that were being made.
Yeah, I had never seen the star cut diagram before this apprenticeship, and it reminds me of a little bit of the Jane's unicursal six-pointed star. It's not it, but it's got some similarity to it. But anyway, we learned it, and then I decided to try to put it into a grid. And so I made this grid that had 9 squares on it, but I did it first in 4, in like a corner, in the corner with 4 of them. And so I did 4, I filled 4 boxes with it, and I saw that it made a bigger one.
So you did 4 here, like 1, 2, 3, 4?
3, 4, and then in the orange, you can kind of see, I tried to outline that level in orange a bit. There was like a new one that got built, and it was made out of 4 littler ones. And so that, of course, made me feel excited, because that's fractally kind of thing. And then my son was home, and he walked by, and he's like, "You got to fill in all 9 squares, Mom." And I was like, okay. I was not going to work with 9 if it works with 4, though. And so I did fill in the 9, and there was another one made out of 9. So dark purple, you can see. So it was pretty fun and exciting. And then I did that giant circular one where I put it in a circle, and I did little ones all around it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, pretty cool pattern. And some of the things I shared with the group here is, as well as like, this was, hopefully this came across. Remember that we were looking at this as a 3D shape as well. And I often, in some of my videos, I talk about that soul star shape, Tetraxis hexahedron that's in this. So I was able to, work with the group and show them that this is actually the cube, and rotating it around, we could build all the other forms off this, just off this as well. And I guess we had some fun of looking at this as like a Rubik's Cube, basically, right? The 9 faces that has some depth and dimensionality to it. Pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's just a few sampling of that we were going to talk about. So Nancy, I was thinking maybe it'd be good after doing that, maybe just we could do the 2-minute video that is the wrap up of the apprenticeship, talk a little more, and then we'll share some of the other video you sent me. So let's do that.
Okay, sounds good.
And let me know if you see it on here, the new geometry apprenticeship drawings. Yep. Okay, so here's just another little sampling of Nancy's work here. If it's gonna run. Yep.
Load.
I think. Wow, spectacular. Those are amazing. I love seeing all of those. And that's, I guess, a few that were in there that we didn't even get to talk about were the 9-pointed star. That was really a lot of some of the motif. You worked with the one that came off the icosahedron. There was a few like that in there. And one that you drew, I really like the icosahedron with then switching the view in the middle. I remember you really liked doing that one too in there.
Yeah, I had never done that before, like drawing them from the different views. So I can't tell you how much I learned and how much I loved it. It's so much.
Yeah, and the star polyhedra at the end, that's after working together. That's basically you just looking at the videos I've been sharing and just doing it, so it's really neat to see. Yeah, we talked a lot about the apprenticeship. I mean, I would love to hear about any other things you'd like to share about sacred geometry, more of your interests, like how people can get in touch. I know you do little drawing classes occasionally. Anything more on Math Through Art, ways to contact and reach out? I'll put any of these links in the description here for sure.
Okay. Yeah, you can find me on Facebook for the drawing classes I do online. That's where I post them. And those are just like one-time deals. You can come in as somebody brand new, or I have people that have been doing all of them. And those are usually just, between 1 and 2 hours on a weekend day. And then Math Through Art, it's just really hard to get into schools right now because of COVID. But I want to be in as many schools as I can be, and I love doing it. And I have a website called www.throughart.org. I recently have been Zooming with some teachers out west, and they told me there is a website called maththroughart.com. I was like, wow, I didn't know that. So that's something totally different. That's not me, but mine is throughart.org. And yeah, so those are the places to find. That's where you could find out more about Math Through Art on there.
Yeah, and it seems like you have over 10 years of experience doing that. So I think that there's quite a lot that you would be able to share with people, even for teachers who are interested in great ideas to share these sort of things with their students that you found that worked over the years. I imagine you could be a great resource for that. And I'm sure it sounds like you'd be open to connecting with people on that level too, just, in a coaching type of way, I imagine.
Yep, for sure. Par- yeah, I am interested in doing that. I enjoy that. And I'm
Mhm.
working on that now with these teachers out west to, as sort of a learning for both of us, so I can learn how to better, more formally offer that. But right now it's pretty casual, but I'm happy to do it. And I feel like I do have a lot to offer to teachers.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, let's see if there was anything else to kind of touch base with. We have, yeah, I guess one last thing before we kind of, I guess, wrap up. I mean, I have my apprenticeship coming up again, starting in March 7th. Feel free to please join me for that. We're going to be doing some of those drawings and new things that are coming through. So please check that out at my website, newgeometry.space. And I'll put a link in the description as well. And yeah, other than that, I think we kind of covered quite a bit. And we were going to do a little send off with Nancy sent me another video of a lot of her prior drawings that she's done before coming to the apprenticeship, which is some are just phenomenal as well. Or some, all of them are phenomenal as well. So let's check that out. And Nancy, if you want to say anything else, we'll just have a couple minutes at the end to kind of say, see you later. But if there's anything that you want to add, please do.
I just wanted to, encourage anybody who's at all interested to join your apprenticeship. I think I tried to convey how uplifting and fun and beautiful an experience it was. It's just really, you're a great teacher and a great person to spend time with, and I really, really recommend it. It's an awesome thing to do.
Yeah, and then besides that, there's also the Patreon. I forgot to mention that, which Nancy is part of too. And we've done our first little drawing session there. So I'm doing a once a month drawing session there and handing out little curriculum pieces of writing that working on the book. Oh, I was going to mention, should we share a little bit on a collaborative project and just let people know that we're in the works. Nancy and I are working on a star polyhedra coloring book based on the star polyhedra you saw, with a mix of the drawings that I've done, along with Nancy's creative flair. So I thought we'd just put that in there. Anything you want to add to that one, or just?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's says it well. That's what we're doing. We're working on it, and we don't know when it'll be done, but it'll happen.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. That was Nancy's inspiration to work with the coloring book idea. You're going to see all those great forms. You can color them in. You'll have the templates to draw from. You can figure out how to do the circles and draw. So it's going to meet a lot of things in a real simple, user-friendly way. So it's neat. I'm so thankful that we connected through this apprenticeship, and now we're going to, branch out and do some awesome creative collaborations here.
Yeah, and I think also after that coloring book, I'm going to do another coloring book, which maybe we'll do together again. That's a little bit more specifically focused towards the healing side of things. So like kind of connecting the drawings to certain questions or affirmations, and taking the shapes and having like maybe figures so people can place the shapes in different spots within their body, in the figure's body. And I have other ideas about that growing also. So I'm excited to do that one as well.
Definitely, and I know you mentioned right from the beginning about the healing part of this being a really important component. We didn't really dive into that as much, and I'm sure that can almost be a whole nother video with those creative type of ideas and what that really means to you. But it is such a huge piece, and some might think that the sacred geometry will house that related to the healing, but they're powerful images, that really move people. That can send them on a transformational journey to getting to know themselves, or releasing grief, or variety of different ways that these drawings are impactful, and they've been used for millennium in those types of ways for deeper meditative state and just transforming consciousness. And I believe that's all healing, and healing that sense of separation or loss that's occurred throughout life.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that even in the most basic way, that sense of separation, when you start to learn sacred sacred geometry, and you learn how everything, pretty much everything, I mean, I don't want to say everything, but so much is built on just this very simple overlapping circles. This is this underlayer that underlies all of it. And so it's very connective. It definitely breeds a feeling of connection, not separation, in a very basic way. And and all of those things that you said, I feel the drawings helping me and helping with my structure and my connections and my circuitry within myself. And I know there's something there. I just haven't totally figured out how to share it best yet.
Yes, and the just thinking about, we're going to keep riffing. This could be another 30 minutes, but we're not going to do that. But what the circle of the 5-circle drawing, for me, has just been astonishing, because the connectivity that it represents, just adding in those little bit of circles within the seed of life or flower of life pattern, all of a sudden that pattern that we're so familiar with seeing, which has done some amazing things in consciousness throughout the years, adding this one little layer and all those little intersection spots, which are all mathematically producing these geometric forms, just really, you have to do it to experience it and have the aha moments to see the layers of connectivity are in that. It's hard to describe. But even for someone like Nancy, who's been doing this for a good amount of time, doing great, fantastic drawings, which we're about to share many of those, introduce this new pattern, and it was, I guess, an expansion of where you were previously working in your sacred geometry, and seeing those connections in a new way, KNEW way, too. I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's the sentiment of what you've shared with me in the past, at least.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've done such an awesome job with sharing our interest in this, and Nancy and I will continue to be doing some work together. So let's just do the send off with the video. We'll come back and just say goodbye after that. And we have it's about a 4-minute video, and enjoy this with, let me know when we've got it up there. We just have to switch over to this other tab. Did it make the switch okay?
Good.
My drawings, okay. All right.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. Oops. Nothing I can do about it. We just gotta wait. Sorry about the connectivity issues.
Just about over.
I wish it wasn't almost just about over. Yeah, just breathtaking, phenomenal, or breath-giving. Yeah, totally amazing. And, you bring so much heart to it. There's so much heart in all those drawings. So just thank you so much for sharing those with everyone. And I think maybe you were going to try and put that on one of your YouTube channel or something, if that's a possibility, so people can see it more uninterrupted.
Yeah, I will do that. I'll put that on YouTube and then it'll flow better.
Yeah, sorry about the connectivity of issues, everyone. But
Vermont.
yeah, thank you so much for coming out for this new conversation. It was such a pleasure to have you, and thanks to all the viewers for coming out and visiting. And until next time, much love and peace, and we'll see you then.
Thank you, George.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye-bye, everyone.